Alrighty, folks. I am here with one of my favorite people, probably in the entire world, Yegor Zotov. Yegor, why don't you give someone comes up to you on the street? You maybe have 30 seconds to a minute. Just give a quick background on yourself to someone who's maybe never met you before.
Yeah. So, both parents are Russian, born in Russia, lived there until I was 8, moved to London, and then when I was about 15, I moved to the States to kind of finish off my education and go to university. And then, yeah, back in England now. But yeah, it's a pretty wild ride
Yeah,
as
and
far as what I got to do.
let's say that same person on the street asks you, "What are you up to these days?" You know,
Oh,
but I know that's a loaded question. What would your answer be?
playing golf full time. But I mean, I think I'm sure you've noticed it too. I think playing professional golf, I think has a lot more than just swinging a stick and hitting a ball. I think it has got a lot more, I guess, admin stuff to it as well, and kind of being like your own travel agent and just wouldn't change it for the world.
Yeah. So maybe some people watching this would remember, but I believe you were the first interview I ever had on my website back when we were maybe juniors or seniors in college.
Yeah.
Um, and a lot since has changed for both of us, right? We're both chasing our dream of playing professional golf for a
Yes,
living.
sir.
I'm doing it in America. You are doing it in Europe, which I think we can use this a lot as an informational segment on how different or similar the two professional landscapes are, right? Because you're probably the master of everything. You're a professional golf, and I think I know a little bit about the American scene. So I'm excited to dive into that. So why don't we kind of break that down? Both you and I
Yeah.
right now have no status. Is that correct, or do you have status?
So I've got status on Alps. So that's kind of our like for you guys, that's PJ Tour Americas.
Okay.
But in Europe, there are a few tours that are kind of on the same level as PJ Tour Americas. So I've got decent-ish status on Alps and decent not and I'm not a full card on Clutch either. But that's where I'll probably start playing most of my golf this year and just hopefully just reshuffle into a better category. So I'm in for the first five for sure. And then when they get back from the Middle East and then like all the international events, I'll probably have to play some good golf to reshuffle. But I probably think I'll get into say 60 to 70% of the events, if I had to guess.
So I think you hit on a good kind of buzzwords there with just status, reshuffle, number of starts, all that. I guess I want to dive in. I'll quickly lay the land for the American scene because it sounds like
Mm-hmm.
Europe might have a little more going on with all the different tours. So,
Yeah.
um, America, you have the PGA Tour, right? I always do it in baseball terms, right? You have the MLB,
Ooh.
you have AAA baseball, which is in the golf world is Corn Ferry Tour, and then you
Yeah.
have AA baseball, which is PGA Tour Americas, like you just mentioned.
Yeah.
Um, where I'm at right now is below that, trying to work my way onto one of those tours through Monday qualifiers, Q schools, and such. Um, why don't you take the wheel for Europe then?
Yeah, and I think it's interesting too. Like in the US, you've got those Monday qualifiers, which is so cool because you can kind of live the dream for 1 week and maybe put that reality into fervor. So like if you have one good week, that can go into two, and that can turn to a season. Whereas in the UK, we don't really have a Monday qualifier per se, but we will have like mini tours that if you win like a swing of events or if you play well, you might win a start. So I think in America, it's a much more like structured system. Here, it's kind of you don't really know when those starts will show up.
Okay.
But as far as kind of comparing like the PGA Corn Ferry and PGA Tour Americas, so at the bottom we've got like Clutch, which is based in the UK. We've got Alps, which is I believe it's a French run tour, but they kind of play, as you can probably guess, around the Alps.
Yeah.
And Pro Golf Tour, which is a German run tour, and they kind of play in middle, like kind of. in the middle of Europe. So play a lot in Germany, Poland, Austria, I'd want to say. And then they got the Nordic Golf League, which is kind of for all the Scandinavian countries. So, and all these seasons are pretty much already started or are going to start. And at the end of the year, top 10 in most cases, some tours might be top five, get their Challenge Tour card, which is Challenge Tour is kind of like Corn Ferry. And then DP World Tour is our PGA Tour. But I mean, now DP is becoming like a feeder tour to the PGA with a lot of guys, I think, jumping over after a good season. Just, I mean, money talk. So
Yeah.
I don't blame them.
Yeah. I think top 10 on the DP World Tour get a PGA Tour card maybe at the end of the year.
Top 10 if you aren't already exempt. So I think this year some guys weren't in the top 10, but like like Rory was number one. He doesn't also need a card, so it kind of just trickles down to who doesn't already have a card.
Yeah. Um, okay, now let's shuffle back to, or excuse my language, but let's reshuffle back, right? What does status, whether conditional or full status, mean, and how do reshuffles work? I can't think of any better guy to ask than you.
Gosh. So for us, it's kind of up in the air. I actually don't really know how it works on Clutch, but for most tours, it's every six or so events, let's say, so a quarter of a season. If you play well in that little span, you can move up your category.
Yeah.
And the more you move up the category, the higher you move up the priority of entrances. So let's say you get a category that's not full, you can't, I don't think you can actually go any higher than the category you're actually in. So I can't go, I think, any higher than I think it's 140th or 130th or something like that on the priority list. But I can get as close as I can to that, which probably guarantees me getting into every event because only 150 tee it up every week.
Gotcha.
So I guess so still is a full like I would play every event, but if something changes with sponsor invites, like if you're 149th, you're the first person, or 150th, you're the first person to get booted if something does changes out of the field and become a first reserve.
And I think you hit on a good point because a lot of us, including myself, and I think even guys, on Corn Ferry Tour or PGA Tour, don't totally know all the exemption categories. It's right. It's a
No,
little you got to read a book that's probably this thick in the PGA Tour DP World Handbook. Um, and I think, everyone's basically just like, yeah, well, you play good golf and then you see where you shake out. Uh,
exactly. I think if you play good golf, it normally does take care of it. So, but I'm sure if you're again like any tour, I'm sure you're listening to like the FedEx Cup standings, like on every tour, like if you're doing well on your order of merit, you're probably getting into the next week or the next event.
yeah,
So
right. And
yeah,
there's some strategy involved too. I learned this winter that a bunch of guys play those first four Corn Ferry Mondays in Florida that go to South America. Because if you were to Monday in and make the cut, you'd probably reshuffle into the rest of the year. Because I believe there's a Corn Ferry reshuffle after the first eight events. So it's interesting. You almost try to time it up versus, Mondaying into a Corn Ferry event later in the year and playing well won't do you as much if you do it in the beginning.
yeah, correct.
Yeah, so it's interesting. Okay, well, thanks. That's a nice little informational segment there.
Yeah.
Um, quickly, this is just me being interested. You graduated in May, like myself, so
Mm-hmm.
we're almost at a year now, which is crazy. Um,
Yeah.
feels pretty far removed. What has your schedule kind of looked like since then? And, when did you turn pro? What have you been playing and those sorts of things?
Yeah. I'm still surprised they let me graduate, but um so I turned pro pretty much right after finishing up the season. I turned pro I think pretty much the day I came back home to England
Yeah.
and seated up pretty quickly thereafter at some clutch events in the summer. Just played a lot of the smaller stuff, just kind of trying to get my life organized because I think I was away for so long. I needed to kind of like do all the little stuff like that. Just need to like set up my kind of base back again here. Although like it did already help that I've lived here before, but it was just nice to kind of just get everything like all my ducks in a row. And so played a lot of clutch stuff May until August, and then went to DP World Q School in September, and then kind of had another break between like kind of back end of September to October, and then had Clutch Tour Q School and Alps Tour Q School kind of back end of October and start of November.
Okay.
And then yeah, just winter golf. So went to Spain and did some mini tours, kind of like you did in down in Florida.
Yeah. So why don't you talk about kind of the setup of I think it's called the Winter Golf Tour that you've been playing in probably the last 2 months.
Yeah,
Yeah. So
yeah.
what's
So it's run by actually a former Challenge Tour guy, and they are very lucky to just have, I think, a really good sponsor that gets them. I believe it's 10 Challenge Tour starts or Hotel Planner Tour now, as I believe they renamed it this year, and one DP World Tour start. So there's 10 events, and the 10th being the final, and then the other nine are split into three swings. And if you play well, you get a winner gets two starts on a challenge, and the second place gets one. And then the winner of the like order of merit of the whole year gets a DP start.
okay.
So it's a really cool tour, like really good incentives for the guys to come pretty much all over Europe, just because it's probably the warmest place, and it's obviously really nice to practice down there. So a lot of guys I kind of saw all my time on Clutch, and even some guys from like US and Canada came over because they were just saying it was so much cheaper for them once they actually got over, just because I think entry fees are pretty low and just cost of living there for them. They thought was cheaper than going to a place like Florida when
Yeah.
they still thought they had a chance to kind of level up.
That's pretty cool.
But
Great opportunity.
no, it's great. I mean, like every week I pretty much got to play with somebody that's either got like conditional status on challenge or has played in a few challenge events last year. So it's a great like just a great see where your game is at heading into the season as well, just because our season starts next week. So it was nice to kind of not have to go to Dubai and kind of the first event just dust off some rusty habits. I feel like I've played some golf and I kind of know what the ball's doing. So it would be nice to go and actually play good and not have to knock the rust off.
Yeah. So why don't you talk about that? Next week you head over to the Middle East, is that right? And then what do the next,
Yeah.
I mean, what do your travels look like the next couple of months for the Alps tour?
Oh gosh. So Alps I might not do. I was first alternate for the first three events, and that kind of might hold me back because I'm missing the next two as well. So I think as of right now, I'm gonna primarily focus on doing clutch unless something changes.
Nice. Yeah.
Um, but as far as clutch, I'm going to Abu Dhabi next week to play for 1 week, which sounds cool, but it is cool
Yeah.
actually. I think even think about it now. And then 2 weeks in Oman, which is the neighboring country to the UAE. And then after that, I'll go to final stage of Sunshine Tour Q School, which is kind of like the premier tour in South Africa, and I think in the whole of Africa, to be fair.
Yeah.
And that's on the same level as probably the old school Asian tour before all the money got pumped into Asian tour, and it's a great way to, again, if you play well on Sunshine, you get about five to 5 to 8 starts on DP and challenge. You get it pretty much into all the events that are co-sanctioned with them in the whole pretty much continent of Africa. So if you play well, it's just a way to kind of get around Q school, if you will. And for me, I just really want to see another part of the world.
Yeah, no, that's great. And I think the viewers of this will love to see you at the magical Kenya Open, in a couple,
Me too. I think TC would.
yeah, hanging with the elephants and all. That's awesome. Okay, and I don't want to, transitioning here, I don't want to put words in your mouth, but I think it's fair to say that like probably 95% of guys didn't have the college career that maybe you wanted, right? Results wise, obviously experience wise, I mean, it was great. Um,
Right.
what do you think is the testament to your good play now? And I think of guys like Jack Kadarincic, who played at Miami and then gave a short stint of professional golf, but played really well in that short stint. I think of guys like Justin Lauer, who played D3 golf. I'm sure he had a great career at D3 golf, but is now, on the PGA Tour playing the players this week. And then, a guy recently in Will Chandler who walked onto Georgia and played three events in his entire career and now is a PGA Tour card. So it's funny how college golf isn't always, an indicator of a successful pro career. Um, has anything changed leading to kind of your impressive play to start your career?
I mean, I'd say impressive is a little rich, but I do think it's getting better. I think it's been I think I'd have to kind of go back to Q school of this year for DP World. I think that was like I think I came out of college kind of in May, kind of playing decent and had a decent start, and then it was really tough traveling those first few months. So I think it actually got worse, and it wasn't like I thought about like stop chasing it, but I was like, damn, this is like hard because I thought it would get really easy because like the courses we played when we were at Miami were long, hard, and I was kind of playing these courses like I should beat these guys, but like these guys are good. Like at any level, like you're like yeah, like I hit it far, but like it doesn't matter if I can't find the fairway. So I went in that same mentality into Q school and just laid an egg. And after that, it took like I probably took like 2 weeks off, but like knowing that I just needed like a fresh restart and start seeing one of the coaches down in England, and he's really helped me kind of turn around as far as just getting consistent, getting like the right stuff in my mind, and kind of just decluttering all the stuff that may have been in there before. And one thing that we've really worked on is I have this journal that I pretty much is always on my desk of just keeping track of how I'm practicing, keep myself honest, kind of reflecting on the good and the bad. And I think that's been the biggest key of, I guess, turning it around, if you will, of just being honest with myself and kind of where my weaknesses are. So for a long time, it was off the tee, and I might have neglected that by hitting a 2 iron. And I'd say I can hit an iron pretty well, and I can hit a 2 iron pretty far. But like I was leaving so much out there. I was probably leaving, I don't know, 30 yards, maybe more on every hole. So just kind of went went with a mindset that I just wanted to drive it well in 2025. And took the off season to just, I mean, just put myself in uncomfortable situations, as cliche as that sounds, playing a lot of money games with guys that are good off the tee. That just kind of forced me to like I just forced me to get better. And I'm sure they'll love a shout out. So Jake Ayers or Phil, if you're listening, thank you for kicking my ass a couple weeks. And they still do, but I can get them every once in a while. So yeah, so it's just stuff like that that really gets you better is when you can be honest and just challenge yourself and know that it might look ugly for a little bit, but in the end, it probably will look a little nicer.
Yeah, and I think that's one of the biggest things. You touched on a great point there. One of the biggest things that I've learned too is like this isn't like the normal job where you have someone telling you what to do. Like we are our own bosses in a way, right? So it
Yeah,
takes an extra level of conviction, if you will, to look yourself in the mirror and really be honest with yourself. Like, okay, am I doing this to my standard, whatever that standard is? So, um,
correct.
love journaling. That's awesome. And yeah, I mean, couldn't have said it better myself. That's great.
Yeah,
Um,
and I think it's like so important like I said, like to be honest, because if you're just blowing smoke up your own ass, if you will, like it's not you're no one. You might look cool to your friends, but you know deep inside that it's yeah you're not gonna advance as quick as you might.
yeah, that's perfect. Love it. Okay, let's get into some fun questions, if you will.
Do it.
Um, where are you right now, even?
I'm in London or just outside of London.
Okay, nice. Um, what is the best course you've played in the UK?
UK. Um, I mean, I think the stock answer would be Sunningdale Old. However, hot take, I love a hot take. I think it's the Berkshire Red.
Hey, I've not heard of Berkshire Red.
Well, it's cool because it's got six par fives and six par threes and six par fours. But
Very cool.
it's a really fun course to play and it's always in great shape.
That is awesome. How about your favorite course in America?
Ooh, I every time I've gone out there, I've been impressed. I'll probably say Murfield Village just because I feel like I've seen it on TV and like you kind of know the shots as you play it. You're kind of, oh, I've seen Tiger chip in from here, or like I've seen these guys hit it to like stone dead and on this one. So it's really cool.
Yeah, that's and shout out to Miami Golf for giving us the
Yeah,
opportunity to do that.
exactly.
I know you're a big music guy, and we tend to share music back and forth with each other.
Oh yeah.
What is maybe one or two songs you're really liking right now?
Ooh, I think I've been. What have I been on today? I was Black Friday by Lost Frequencies and Tom Odell. That's been on very, very recently, and I think I play like five times a day. But also a bit of country here and there. I think you've inspired me to like country. So I think like maybe a bit of Corey Kent, like "Ain't My Day," still comes on every once in a while. I don't skip it, so I think I like that one too.
Shout out Corey Kent.
Yeah,
Last of the fun ones, your death row meal. If you had one last meal, what would it be?
you know me. It's probably gonna be pesto pasta with just a boatload of cheese.
Okay, pretty easy, pesto pasta. And then quickly, this is something I ask everyone who comes on. What is one piece of advice or a nugget you could give to someone to help with their game?
Um, Stick to one coach because you can go down a rabbit hole of going through about eight in a couple years, like me, and not get much better.
Okay,
And journal.
love it. Love it. A lot of good lessons, Yegor. I'm excited for you.
Thank you.
Obviously, I'll be following. And thanks for coming on today.
Thanks for having me on.
Thanks, dude.